You wake up. You slept 7 hours, maybe 8, and you're already tired. Not the kind of tired that coffee fixes, not the kind that goes away after a weekend. Something deeper, something that doesn't respond to rest the way it used to. You're getting things done. You're showing up. From the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, something is running on empty, and you can't figure out why. Here's what most people don't realize. That feeling isn't just physical tiredness. It's not about sleep. It's not about working too hard. It's something called emotional exhaustion, and it's one of the most common and least talked about things affecting men today. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 signs that you're emotionally exhausted, not just tired, because the difference matters. And once you can see it clearly, everything starts to make more sense. First, let's get clear on what we're actually talking about. Physical exhaustion is what happens when your body is depleted. You work out hard, you don't sleep enough, you push yourself physically, and your muscles, your eyes, your limbs feel heavy. Rest fixes it. A few good nights of sleep and you're back. Emotional exhaustion is different. It's what happens when your nervous system has been running in overdrive for too long. When you've been managing stress, suppressing emotions, holding things together and carrying weight that has no physical form for weeks, months, sometimes years. And here's the thing about emotional exhaustion that makes it so hard to catch. It doesn't feel like exhaustion at first. It feels like numbness, like irritability, like not caring about things you used to care about. It disguises itself as boredom or laziness or just being a little off. By the time most men realize what's happening, they've been running on empty for a long time. So here are the 5 signs. Be honest with yourself as you go through them. Sign number 1, you're tired no matter how much you sleep. This is the one that confuses people the most. You get a full night of sleep, sometimes more than usual, and you wake up feeling like you barely rested. Your body isn't sore, you're not sick, but you feel heavy from the moment you open your eyes. This happens because emotional exhaustion doesn't live in your muscles, it lives in your nervous system. And your nervous system doesn't recharge the same way your body does. Sleep restores the physical. But if you spend your waking hours in a constant low-level state of stress, tension, or emotional suppression, your nervous system never fully comes down. It stays activated. And no amount of sleep fixes a system that never actually powers off. If you've been waking up tired for weeks and you can't explain why, that's not a sleep problem. That's your body telling you something else is going on. Sign number 2. Small things feel disproportionately heavy. Someone asks you a simple question and something inside you snaps. A minor inconvenience, traffic, a slow email response, a plan changing last minute, hits you harder than it should. You notice it. You might even feel embarrassed by it. But the reaction comes before you can stop it. This is one of the clearest signals of emotional exhaustion. When your emotional reserves are depleted, you lose the buffer. The buffer is what allows you to absorb small frustrations without reacting. When it's gone, everything goes straight to the surface. It's not that you're becoming an angrier person, it's that you're running a system with no shock absorbers left. The road is the same, you just have nothing left to cushion the bumps. Sign number 3, you've stopped caring about things that used to matter. A hobby you loved, a goal you were working toward, a relationship you used to invest in. Somewhere along the way, the energy for those things disappeared, not gradually, just quietly. You didn't decide to stop caring. You just noticed one day that you didn't anymore. This is called emotional blunting. When the nervous system is overloaded for long enough, it starts rationing. It conserves energy by reducing emotional response across the board. The problem is, it can't selectively turn off the negative emotions while keeping the positive ones. It turns down everything. Joy, excitement, motivation, connection, they all get quieter. This is often the sign that men find most frightening because it doesn't feel like exhaustion. It feels like losing yourself, like the things that used to define you just don't anymore. Sign number 4, you're physically present but mentally somewhere else. You're at dinner with your family. Someone is talking. You're nodding, but you're not there. You're somewhere else, replaying a conversation, running through a list, or just blank. There's nothing specific on your mind, just an absence where engagement used to be. Emotional exhaustion consumes cognitive bandwidth. When your system is overloaded, your brain doesn't have the capacity to be fully present. It's too busy managing the background load, the unprocessed stress, the suppressed emotions, the things you haven't dealt with. And the background noise takes up space, and it leaves less room for the people in front of you. The people who love you notice before you do. Partners describe it as, you're here, but you're not here. And they're right. Part of you checked out a while ago, not because you stopped caring about them, but because you're running a system that's too full to take anything else in. Sign number 5. You feel guilty for feeling this way. This one is the most uniquely male sign on the list, because men are extraordinarily good at turning their exhaustion into self-criticism. The internal dialogue sounds something like this. I have a good life. Other people have real problems. I have nothing to complain about. What's wrong with me? And that guilt That layer of shame on top of an already depleted system makes everything worse because it stops you from naming what's happening. It tells you that acknowledging the exhaustion is a form of weakness. So instead of addressing it, you push harder, work more, distract more, and the exhaustion deepens. Emotional exhaustion isn't a sign that your life is bad. It's a sign that your system has been running without adequate support for too long. That's not a character flaw. That's a maintenance issue. And maintenance issues get worse the longer you ignore them. So why does this happen? Why do so many men end up here? The honest answer is that emotional exhaustion is almost always the result of a long period of emotional suppression. Not a single bad event, not one terrible week. A pattern, often stretching back years, of processing emotions in the least efficient way possible, by not processing them at all. Every time something difficult happens, a conflict, a disappointment, a fear, a loss, and you push it down instead of moving through it, that energy doesn't disappear. It gets stored. Your nervous system files it as unresolved. And unresolved emotional material takes up space and resources to maintain. The more you accumulate, the higher the background load. The higher the load, the less capacity you have for everything else. Think of it like RAM on a computer. Emotional suppression is like opening 100 programs and minimizing them instead of closing them. They're not visible, they're not active, but they're all running in the background, consuming resources. And eventually the system slows down, then it starts freezing, then it crashes. Emotional exhaustion is the crash warning. It's your system telling you the background load is too high. Something needs to close. The good news is that this is reversible. Not overnight, not with one good weekend, but with the right approach, the load can come down. The system can recover. Men who've been emotionally exhausted for years have come back from it, not by pushing harder, but by finally doing the opposite. So what do you actually do if you recognized yourself in those 5 signs? Step 1, stop adding to the load before you try to reduce it. Before you can drain the backlog, you need to stop filling it faster than it empties. That means identifying the biggest current sources of emotional drain in your life, the relationships, situations, or habits that are consistently taking more than they give, and making one small change. Not a life overhaul. One thing, less time in the environment that's draining you. One boundary you've been avoiding. One commitment you say no to this week. The load doesn't reduce overnight, but it stops growing. Step 2, give your nervous system a genuine off switch. Not distraction, an actual off switch. Distraction, scrolling, drinking, watching something loud, occupies the conscious mind but doesn't give the nervous system what it needs. What the nervous system responds to is slow breathing, physical stillness, time in nature, or any activity that puts you in a state of genuine calm rather than occupied numbness. 10 minutes of this, real, intentional decompression, has a measurably different effect on your nervous system than 2 hours of distraction. Start small, but start. Step 3, say one true thing to one person. Not a therapy session, not a full disclosure, just one honest sentence to someone you trust. I've been running on empty lately. Things have been harder than I've let on. I don't actually know how I'm doing. Something real. Something you'd normally swallow. The act of externalizing it, moving it from inside your head to the space between you and another person, reduces the internal load in a way that nothing else quite replicates. It's small. It's uncomfortable. And it works. I want to say one more thing before you go. If you recognized yourself in 3 or more of those 5 signs, that's not a coincidence. That's information. And information, when you actually use it, is the beginning of something changing. Emotional exhaustion isn't a personality trait. It's not who you are. It's a state your system got into, gradually, quietly, without you fully noticing. And it's a state your system can get out of. Not by ignoring it, not by pushing through it, but by finally acknowledging it for what it is. You've probably been functioning at a high level despite feeling this way. That's impressive. But functioning isn't the same as living. And at some point, if it hasn't happened already, the system stops letting you function. It forces the pause you've been refusing to take. Don't wait for the crash. Take the pause now while it's still your choice. If this video landed with you, the next one goes even deeper. We break down exactly what's happening inside your brain when you suppress emotions for years. What it does to your memory, your decision-making, your physical health. It's the video that makes everything else make sense. It's linked right below. And if this helped you, share it with one man you think needs to hear it. You don't have to say anything. Just send it. Take care of yourself. I mean that.